How's it going? My name's Colin Winters. I'm the host of A Panthers Place, and today I get to smile because the Carolina Panthers are victorious. So the Carolina Panthers went to Las Vegas this week, and they have taken down the Raiders 36-22 in a fantastic masterclass by none other than Andy Dalton. Yes, with Bryce Young being benched, we saw Andy Dalton get the start this week, and it was absolutely phenomenal. The offensive firepower was night and day compared to when Young was leading the team. And while that does raise a lot of questions over the future for the former number one overall pick, I am just mostly happy to see this team doing well. Going into this football game, this team had over 250 days of not having a lead at any point in time. And yet here we are, going ahead and coming into this game, we have a fantastic first drive to start with. Going 70 yards, Andy Dalton had a great drive with only one incompletion. Chuba Hubbard running hard. It was a fantastic spectacle to watch. And you had an idea immediately as a Panthers fan that this team is different with a new guy under center, with a veteran presence who is not going to be as panicky in there. You felt like there was something that was unlocked with Dave Canales' play calling. We saw more shots in the middle of the field. We saw more shots deep downside. We saw Andy Dalton make some throws that he had no business attempting, but still made anyway. Throughout this entire week, we were able to, see Andy's press conferences and interviews inside the locker room, and he mostly just talked about how excited he was to get this opportunity again this late in his career, and it just felt like he was having fun out there. He was just incredibly grateful to be playing football again, and he was making the most out of it, and it was impressive to watch, and it was extremely motivating as well, seeing that type of guy just have so much fun, seeing the Red Rifle return the action, and that he had not lost a step. Coming into this game, the Panthers were historically bad when it came to converting on third down, having only converted 2 third downs for 22 attempts the 2 previous games, which is the worst since 1991. And then the Panthers ended up doing pretty well on converting third downs, even when they had a bunch of super long third downs, like 3rd and 20s. You had stuff like 3rd and 13, 3rd and 12, stuff like that. We were doing really good at making the most of what we could get. And it made me very happy to see that even though the subject of why we were doing so bad, it happens to be a guy we were putting a lot of stock in, we still did good without him. And that means that we do see where the patient zero for our offensive woes in the first two games of the season were. And hopefully now we can treat that patient and be calmer that we don't have a wider spreading issue amongst the organization. I mean, David Tepper is still our owner, so do we still have that issue? But, on the field issue, we know what patient zero is and we can treat that. Talking about Chuba Hubbard earlier, he had a career-defining game this time around. He was 21 carries for 114 yards, and then in the air, he was 5 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown. He had a fantastic game, and he is showing the fan base that when Jonathan Brooks comes off of IR, he is not going to be running back one immediately. He's going to have to fight for that spot and pry it from Chuba Hubbard's cold, dead hands. There were multiple occasions where I thought that the run was just dead to rights, that it was going to be a loss for yardage or maybe just a gain of 1 or 2, where Chuba Hubbard instead just decided that he was going to be pissed off that day and then just be angry at the other team for existing and push them for another gain of about 5. He was the one who was a driving factor to plenty of our third downs being third and manageable rather than it being third and long. And then we have Deontay Johnson, who's had a career high in receiving yards today with 8 catches and 122 yards and a touchdown. It was a masterclass in his ability to separate and find the open area in the zone. And to also compliment Andy again, Andy found the way to get the ball to him multiple times. The touchdown he received was an absolute beauty of Andy floating it right over 2 defenders, only where Deontay would get it. And I swear, I almost orgasmed whenever I saw that throw. The Red Rifle can play with my Red Rocket any day. We didn't see as much from Xavier Legette that I would hope so in this game, but of course we did see more than we were bargained for in week 2. He had 2 catches for 42 yards, which of course you want to see him get a little bit more. Most of that was off of a 35-yard run that he had, where he was able to catch the ball and make the most out of it going down the sideline. And then it was after that it's just a 2-yard gain where he had good control of the ball, got hit right after he caught it. Still did pretty good. Other things considered, I was glad to at least see him get more of an opportunity to show himself on the field today, even if he wasn't targeted too often. Finally, in more prevalent receiver news, we saw that Adam Thielen did go down with a hamstring injury. He was questionable for a long period of time after going out with that and then was eventually ruled out. Hopefully he is okay. He seemed to be in a lot of pain after catching a good touchdown from Andy Dalton. And he seemed to be walking off the field just fine, but of course, with him being ruled out, there could be more underlying things. Could have been adrenaline that helped him walk off the field. But overall, we're going to hope he's okay. Hopefully, everything is fine with him. And he is pretty old, so any injuries that happen to be hamstring related tend to stay for a lot longer, according to than with younger guys. So hopefully, he's all right. But we will have to see more of XL step up, or even Jonathan Mingo if Adam Thielen is gone for an extended period of time, which, if that does happen, I do hope those guys can step up. But more important than anything, I hope Adam is okay. Injury-wise, this game was a little bit brutal for both sides, more so the Raiders. The Raiders had multiple guys go down to injury, some of which came back, some of which didn't. Marcus Epps especially, hopefully he's okay. And really, anyone who was injured that game, if they're a Raider or Panther, no matter what, just hope for a speedy recovery for them and hope that their injuries were, much less than they were in the moment. And hopefully it's more of a stinger than it was a real injury. Now, I think I've done enough flating of the offense now that I can go over to the defense, which had their fair share of bad and good this game. Overall, this defense played well. There's no way to go about that. The defense played well. Mike Jackson was all over the goddamn field, even getting an interception, which, look, I'm happy he held onto the ball, but that's all he really needed to do because Minshew just threw it to him like he was the designated receiver, so can't really say too much about that, but he held onto the ball. That's what's important. But he also had 9 tackles on the day. Sure, there were a few times where he was a little bit too slow to cover mostly Jacoby Myers, but for the most part, he did a very good job on the field today, doing a whole lot for the defense. Same for Josie Jewell. He was all over the field doing a great job penetrating the offensive line to be able to stuff runs and having multiple good pass breakups and almost an interception against Aiden O'Connell near the end of the game. Otherwise, we saw a pretty decent pass rush, all things considered, even though we don't have any real good pass rushers other than Jadeveon Clowney, who did have a sack today, but who also had a sack was Jaden Peavy and LeBrian Ray. I mostly know them just for being guys I usually cut in Madden, so seeing those guys do well, I'm really happy to see it. These guys are stepping up in a big way, and I should put more respect on their names. The real concerns with the defense do come with the fact that there were multiple times where they just could not stop the Raiders' offense, and it was all coming down to when they could not stop the 97-yard drive from going downfield, and then multiple times where they were in a hurry-up 2-minute offense, and the defense just didn't seem to be able to get set quick enough, and they were constantly one step behind the Raiders' offense. And when it comes to better teams that we're going to face in the future, we just can't have that, or else they're going to take advantage of that every single time. With our starters, we're not exactly a young defense anymore, especially with a lot of our younger guys having been gone in this past free agency. So we do have to worry about the speed of our defense. They have a great defensive coordinator in Ejiro Evero, and I completely believe in him because he's doing a lot with this ragtag group that he has. But that still is concerning because once we get more high-flying offenses, we're going to see our defense get exposed more often than not. Still, I'm not going to be a downer the entire time because the run defense, which is one of the things that we are always the most concerned about with this Panthers team, even before we were bottom barrel trash, they did pretty good today. They held Zamir White for 10 carries and 34 yards. Gardner Minshew had a few scrambles, and then they held Alexander Madison for 3 carries and 7 yards. And of course, he got a touchdown, but all things considered, that was a pretty good rushing defense day. Because the offense was playing so well, they had to pass more times than they could run, so they were playing from behind the entire game. But still, even with the limited, only 16 carries, I'm very proud of what the rushing defense was able to do, especially with how bad they've been in past weeks. Now the biggest question is going to be, can the Carolina Panthers keep this up with Andy Dalton? And then a follow-up question with that will be, what is the future for Bryce Young in Carolina due to the fact that we now see that he was the problem with the offense? And personally, the question's actually pretty easy to answer. If Andy Dalton keeps playing football like this, we're going to be a pretty good team this year. We're going to be able to do a lot more than people expected us to, and we're going to show that Young has time to relax now, has time to mentally prepare, get away the jitters from his rookie season that he wasn't able to get off during the offseason, and hopefully, Bryce Young can come back later in the season, or maybe just start next season, rejuvenated and as a new player. Because that's what he needs. He just needs time to relax. The Panthers have already rejected multiple trade proposals for Bryce Young, and that really shows to me that the front office, they believe in him as the guy, and that he just needs a little bit of time to heal from his rookie season. Really, I hope Bryce has the best time that he can on the bench, because what he can do now is learn, relax, see that he has a team around him now. He's not being thrown into a fire anymore. He has a team that he can operate with. and he's showing how to operate with this team, and all Bryce needs to do is learn and execute the next time he gets an opportunity. And with the type of athlete Young is, I really believe that he can do that. And if he doesn't, and the Panthers move on from him and for some reason just decide to trade him, all I can say is I'm fully expecting him to become an all-pro wherever team he goes, because I do believe in Young. That's just Panthers luck right there. Still, I'm very happy with what happened, and I hope all Panthers fans out there are too. Just think about it. We have better football ahead of us now. We are a new team. We are able to run the concepts we want to run. Canales is able to call the plays he's confident to call. We got a team, and it showed today. So, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.